Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. Unlucky Humans, written by Ravna Cressol.
I don't get it.
The insectoid spoke as it clicked its mandibles in confusion.
How unlucky must a race be to have to come up with this, insurance?
Unlucky? That made me blink in slight surprise as I put my brochure down. Don't you think it's logically viable?
The alien shook its head. No, it is. Pay small periodic sums of money in exchange for a new ship if it's stolen or gets destroyed, resulting in you paying but a fraction of what a new ship would have cost.
It used its left pincer to poke at the pamphlet.
But what sort of species would be so attacked with statistical failure that would consider the idea worth making a company exclusively for it?
Again, unlucky. I had to frown at the alien's words. I don't see how that applies to us. The percentage of ships owned by a human lost are equivalent to those of any other species when we take into account the categorization of the ships themselves and the routes taken.
But your species created this insurance years before they became spacefarers, no?
The amusement was clear in the alien's antennae as it twitched around.
I'm merely curious.
I am pausing for a moment to think. Didn't other species have accidents or catastrophes?
We did, and we do,
it responded with a shrug.
But my black lighters tell me that perhaps not with the frequency you humans have.
A pause as it seemed to think about something, reaching into a pocket at the side of its chair and pulling out a datapad.
Aha!
It declared in triumph after a moment. I merely raised my eyebrow, feeling curious as to what it had found.
Just look at this.
The alien handed the datapad over, and I realized it was a digital manual for a microwave oven.
This is just a manual, I muttered in confusion. Yes, an appliance every human is familiar with, no?
I guess, I shrugged.
Of the 30 pages, 6 are warnings regarding the usage and what not to do with it, and what ways it could prove to be dangerous to the user, as well as anything placed within, and 5 more of how to troubleshoot in the event of a malfunction.
It reached for the pad and swiped around.
Now look at this one.
Handing me the pad once more, I looked through it. My translator kicked in and told me that it was a manual for a microwave oven equivalent of the Mangracy. It's 10 pages long, I muttered with a frown.
It's 10 pages long and explaining exclusively what it can do and how you control it to do those things it can do.
The alien clicked its jaws with some degree of self-satisfaction. So, what? I muttered, frowning slightly as I did. What does that have to do with being unlucky?
Don't you see?
The alien clicked with excitement and frustration in equal measure.
There is so much more humans could offer than just the idea of insurance.
Like, what? Warning labels? I frowned, deepens.
Warning labels?
If it had eyelids, it would have blinked. Immediately it set out to flick through the pad.
Amazing! A uniquely pictographic language intended for intuitively defining the dangers of object possessors to its users and environment.
It skeeted to some sounds.
How truly marvelous unlucky humans have been! This venture could very well revolutionize safety standards across the galaxy.
That statement made me feel slightly uncomfortable as I wiggled on the spot. So, does this mean I get a loan or...
Own?
The alien laughed, if it was buzzing kind of way.
Why, with this, I'd much rather we start a joint venture.
I stared at the alien in mute shock, trying to piece together what I'd been told. But why? I have to blink and curse myself inwardly. Curse my curiosity. Not to question a good thing, but... why would you need me now that you know what to look for?
Because I would mostly certainly need a human partner to be able to have the proper insight into humans' carefulness.
You mean paranoia, I grunted. That made the alien stop and tilt his head.
It is not paranoia if the danger exists, it corrected me.
A moment paused and it stretched out a claw towards me.
What do you say? I'm investing the capital, so 90-10 split on profits.
Immediately, the business part of my brain kicks in. 60-40, I reply. And I'll pull some favors to see if some experts on these things would be interested in joining.
70-30,
it replied. Pausing for a moment, I scratched my chin, considering I wouldn't need to invest a penny. It sounded like a good deal. But an idea crossed my head, and I struggled to keep from smirking. Fine, but I get to name the company.
You have a deal,
The alien stated as he took her hand and shook on it.
I'll be drafting the official documents right away.
Pausing and glanced at the datapad up to me.
What name did you have in mind for our venture?
I couldn't hide my grin anymore. Acme. End of story. Story number 2. The Great Disappointment and the Terrifying Primitives. Written by Simone Angela. We were scared, you know. Like, really scared. We were fecking trembling, and the Erexi fleet suddenly appeared inside Luna's orbit. Their ships are very intimidating. What with their thousands of laser turrets and fecking energy shields, they looked right out of a sci-fi apocalyptic film. They could just jump around our system like a drunk rabbit. That's why we were flabbergasted when, after the Kasaba net around Earth fired, not a single ship remained operational. Do you know how scared we were of advanced aliens? We were prepared to fight against someone on par with us technologically, but more advanced. We had no idea what to expect. We certainly weren't expecting the ships just to crumble. We were confident, you know.
The humans were primitives. There's no two ways about getting around this. They were still playing around with Lbry drives and orbital mechanics, not yet discovering the game-changing dark matter core technology that enables the Galactic Councils to have a reach and influence that it had. But the fact is, contrary to every other species, this was not a stopgap technology to wait for development of the drive to finish. No. They dreamed of the technology they achieved and built their entire military around it. You see, the Lbry drive is dependent on warping the space-time to erect a bubble around itself so as to isolate the ship from the universe, enabling her to achieve FTL by sheer weight of the virtual particles towing this bubble. It is a crude method that cannot work too close to a gravity well. So, for in-system travel, good old sublight drives are necessary. And the humans were masters of sublight warfare. Where our ships resemble plates to better distribute laser hits and our shields tend to give the maximum visibility of our turrets, theirs, without exceptions, were guns. And whereas our ships relied on shields for protection against enemy fire, the human ships were covered in reflecting Whipple shields wrapped around a plate of armor, defending both against hypervelocity kinetics and laser fire. And their weaponry. I shudder at the memory. After our defeat, we were rescued by one of their ships, and I managed to convince the naive crewman to give me a tour of the ship. Here is the transcript. Erexi Gunner. So, Human John, what weapon did you use to so completely destroy our fleet? I assume you have a good cloaking tech on these ships of yours, as we did not see any ships nearby at the time. Human Ensign. Oh no, we don't have cloaking tech. Hell, one of the first things they teach at the academy is there is no stealth in space. No, that was simply the Kasaba net in action. Kasaba net? What do you mean? Well, I don't think I can disclose too much, but essentially it's in orbit, the entire orbit from the equatorial to polar, just filled with Kasaba howitzers, you know, in case something nasty comes to Earth's way. I'm afraid I am not familiar with that weapon. How would a howitzer work at planetary distances? I know, right? I also assumed that they were like the soil-bound version, but no, they are pretty different. Basically, they're just 1 megaton nukes used to transform a couple tons of tungsten into particle beam. What did you say your shields were turreted for? I never said that. Whatever. It's about 500 gigajoules. Above that, not even a 0-point generator can power one. And it's not like there's more powerful lasers than that. It's mostly to wear on the shield projector, that's the limit. Why this question? Well, let's say the energy inside the Kasaba particle stream is a tiny bit more than that. Like if you consider a microsecond laser pulse, which you can as it is instantaneous and mostly energy, then you get to, around 800 terajoules. What? Yeah, and it doesn't consume any power, since it is powered by a nuke. And we have as many shots as we have nukes, which, by the way, is a lot. Ever since we managed to get a megaton fusion warhead without the fission starter, we really went crazy for them. They're also so useful, and the range is amazing, you know.
Regular nukes are boring in space because they follow a pesky square cube law. So, the effective range of even the most powerful is less than 10 kilometers. Basically, night fighting distance. But Kasabas, pal, if you make one concentrated enough, you can write on the moon with 100-meter craters from low Earth orbit. That's almost 1.4 light seconds.
What?
Oh, yeah, I know, right? It's so cool. I'm a huge nerd for nuclear devices. Anyway, you're lucky that we wanted your ships mostly intact. No, we would have used the gigaton boulders.
I don't know if I want to know what those are.
Oh, you'll like them. It's basically the same concept, only that the tungsten is a bit bigger and the nuke smaller and more distant. This means that instead of vaporizing the metal, it simply launches the whole 20 tons at 10 kilometers per second. The usual result is that the ship simply breaks in half. So it's called the Spine Crusher. Hey, Muddy, you're right. I don't think you're supposed to be that shade of purple.
At this point, I faded, so the recording stopped. They rushed me to my ship's infirmary, and here I wrote down this report. Please, please do not retaliate. Do not anger them. They are not sane.
End of story. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Fudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Athelia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.